We started out in London. We had a story about a character in The Beast that came down every night from the upstairs bedroom and talked to his entrapped woman and said, "Will you marry me?" And she said no, and he said, "Oh, okay." And he went back upstairs, and that was the whole story. So we had a woman trapped against her will, which is a horrible story to tell. You had a shy beast that came downstairs and asked her to marry him, and nothing happened every night. So nothing happened. We developed the story for about 8 months, and we showed it. We sketched it out and showed it, and in story sketch form, which is a very rough form we use to put things up inexpensively and quickly. And it was awful. I remember the screening, and the executive, Jeffrey Katzenberg, after the screening said, "Well, it's time to fish or cut bait." So we actually let the directors go. We abandoned that movie. I wish I could show it to you. It's in retrospect, it was pretty awful. And we hired a guy named Howard Ashman, who had just written he'd written the lyrics and music with his partner Alan Menken for Little Shop of Horrors, and he had just finished a movie called Little Mermaid. And Howard came in, and Howard helped us breathe life into those characters. The first thing he said was, "Well, you know, you can't just tell the story of the beast coming down every night, and Belle can't be just sitting there. She has to be aggressively pushing back against him." All movies are about conflict, which I think is really interesting. Every movie you see, the good ones, are about conflict. No conflict, no movie. And our lives are that way, I think. No conflict, no life. You know, you have to have that conflict in your life because that's what rises our game. That's what brings us to a new level. So we redid it. We brought in new directors. The new directors were in their 20s, and they were temporary directors. We said, you know, we may fire you at any second, but do what you can. And so they made a great movie that was the first animated movie to be nominated for an Oscar. They didn't know what they were doing. I'm not sure I knew what I was doing. But we didn't know that we didn't know what we were doing. So a lot of the leap of faith into life, a lot of the ability to do things is truly that leap of faith to say, you know, I don't know exactly every answer. Every element of this story or this idea may not be right, but I have to leap in. To me, life is a real momentum business. Certainly the movie business is a real momentum business. And probably the biggest theme of my life is instead of ready, aim, fire, my life is ready, fire, aim. And that really works for me. Because the commitment to say, I'm going to fire my gun, my intellectual gun, my movie gun, I don't know what I'm doing, and I promise you I don't. And I'm going to see what happens. And I'm going to trust my instincts. I'm going to trust that bag of tricks that I have and that's been given to me since birth, that intellectual gifts that's been given to me by my parents, by my teachers, by the world. I'm going to trust that, and I'm going to acknowledge the fact that I don't know every answer, and I'm going to steer it as I go.